What's up guys? So it's been a while since we've taken a look at a new case, and our friends at Sahara Gaming decided to send this one along. So we thought, why not kickstart it again and take a look. So this case doesn't have a sexy name, but it doesn't need one. This is the Sahara Gaming C501. It's an EATX case from Sahara Gaming, and regardless of the name, it actually has some cool features. Being the E-ATX, obviously you can fit up to an E-ATX motherboard. Along with that, you can fit a graphics card of 360mm in length. In terms of hard drive space, you can fit up to three 3.5-inch hard drives and two 2.5-inch hard drives. But obviously, if you use those adapter caddies, you can also fit the 2.5s into the 3.5 spaces, giving you a total of 5 2.5-inch drives that can be stored. But that's not necessarily where this case actually shines. Where it shines is in its cooling solutions. In the front, you can fit up to a 360mm radiator or 3 140mm fans, which is pretty good. In the rear, you can also fit up to a 140mm radiator as well as one 140mm fan, and in the top you can fit a 280mm radiator or two 140mm fans. And this is mainly due to the fact that they've made the case super wide and got all of those extra cables and things out of the way, so you've got plenty of space to be able to put all that cooling on board. Now, taking a bit of a tour of the case, you can actually see that the front isn't one of those fancy glass panels or one of those fancy mesh panels, but it actually provides enough airflow altogether. All you need to do to be able to remove it is just pop it off from the bottom, just like that, and you will see that the front is a pretty elegant design. It's pretty sleek and clean. It has air ventilation down the sides here and here, and it's in a bit of a two-tone grey on black colour, which makes it look very premium. It is plastic, it's not actually metal at all. But on the insides, if you look, they have actually provided extra holes in the back, and you can simply click this black piece out. So it'd be really good to see if they could provide some kind of mesh front for this because of that, and you just simply swap them over. But unfortunately it didn't come with that, but either way it looks pretty good. There's also ventilation on the bottom here, and if you actually look at the width of the panel, it's pretty thick, which means any fans that are mounted to the front are actually set back so they can actually draw the airflow through the vents as needed. Which brings us along to what they've actually included in this case. On the front, included when you purchase it, you will find three 140mm fans. Now these fans are actually pretty good. They're not RGB, they don't need to be because of the panel, but unfortunately they do use a Molex connection, so there's not very much flexibility in being able to control their speeds. But either way, most cases don't provide fans of this kind of quality, so it's pretty good all round. These fans also have nice little sponge pads in the corners, so you get less vibration, and purely because they've pre-fitted them, you don't have to do that work. Now the front was so easy to remove because there's no cabling. They haven't actually included the I/O shield or front I/O panel inside the front itself, and that's really good. We actually love that kind of design. The front panel is actually mounted on the top here. Now the front panel consists of a button, an LED switch if you do want to have some RGB fans in here. They actually provide a switch here that you can hook up, a reset switch, your standard lighting systems, one USB 3, two USB 2s, and obviously your headphone and microphone sockets. You also get a magnetic filter for the top where you can just quickly install it on and off to be able to keep things super clean. The panel on the side is also pretty special. It's a full length panel with a dark frame all the way around it, which is pretty good. And there is none of them 4 thumb screws that go into the corners, so nothing to actually catch your hands on. All you do is you remove the thumb screws from the back and then slide the panel back, and it actually comes out just like that. This panel is also super strong because it's around a 4mm thick tempered glass, and that's obviously included in the case. Around the back, we can obviously see a pretty standard setup here. We've got the space for the fan, your I/O shield, up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 PCI slots, but you also have 1, 2, 3 different slots here for a vertical mounted GPU. Again, at the price that this case is, that's actually a pretty good feature. And obviously your PSU gets mounted into the bottom here. For the PSU, if we just flip the case up on its back, and it does have some nice beefy feet here, there's obviously a section here for your PSU fan, and there is a dust grill over the top of it, so that's pretty cool. To remove the other panel, it's pretty much the same process. We just unscrew these screws at the back. And by the way, these screws are actually not your standard plastic type of thumb screws. They are an aluminium thumb screws, so you're not going to wear them out very well. And actually, I really like that feature. Sliding the back panel off, we can actually see it's pretty rigid. There's very little flex in it. Everything is double rolled edged, and the steel in this case is a 1mm thick, which means it's actually super strong. Now with the case actually apart, with no sides really on it, we can see that if we try to flex the case, there is very little flex in this at all. And that's because it's so strongly put together and the steel is so thick that not only does it actually add to the super strength of the case, it actually adds to the weight. So you may think that that's actually a bad thing, but it's actually a good thing because it means that you're not accidentally going to push it off of a cupboard. Looking into the back, it doesn't look from afar that you get much of a space for cable management, but there is actually about an inch gap from the back plate to the front. And you can tell this because they've included these pre-installed cable management systems, which are about an inch in depth. On the bottom, we have our PSU basement, but we've also got this mounting here for hard drives. And we can simply just take that out by unscrewing the bottom here and here, and then just lifting that whole chassis out, installing our hard drives and putting it back in again. And then across the back plate, there's lots of little pegs to be able to put all of your cable management on all over with some kind of Velcro or cable tie system. And they're pretty much in a really good spot as well. So that's pretty good. Obviously, as I mentioned before, the fans that actually come pre-installed with this come with a Molex connection, and they do come with some extra pieces because the one that's actually installed in the back is actually an RGB fan. This is a 140mm RGB fan that they include with it. It's pretty much the same design as all the fronts, but you know, with sponge pads in the corners and things. But obviously it's RGB, so if you want a bit of lighting in the case, they've covered you there. Along with that, in the internals, obviously you've got your basement, and they've actually put some pretty good little holes here for cable management to come out. We actually love it when they do that because it means it's going to be a super tidy build. The back plate is flat all the way across, and you can mount your 2.5-inch drives just in the back here. So if you've got any RGB ones, or you've got some fancy looking ones, you can mount them just in the front here, and they look pretty cool. All of the cable system at the top is quite hidden away, and it goes into the back just there. And the back plate is actually big enough for your E-ATX motherboards, which is pretty cool. Pre-installed, they've given the little pegs that will actually fit up to an ATX motherboard, but they do provide some extras if you want to install them. So that's a general tour of the case. It's got some great features, and in terms of cooling, you can actually include quite a bit. As far as accessories go, they do include quite a bit. You've got your instruction manual, which is basically a piece of paper. I mean, they could have just provided a link to something online that you can download. But if you don't already have a PC and this is the first one you're building, then actually it could be pretty useful. But it does go into all the details that you need to be able to fit all your cooling solutions, your motherboards, all that kind of stuff. They also give you a bit of a instruction here on the Bullseye slave fan system, and that is the rear RGB fan. And they tell you how to actually hook that up so that you can control the lighting, because it does come with motherboard control and all that kind of stuff. In the accessories box, they really do double down on what they include. Straight away in this first bag, you will see that you get one of these. Now this is a mount for your GPU, and you get some extra sticky pads to stick it down. It's actually something to stop the sag within your GPU. You simply mount it into the case wherever your GPU is, and then you can just adjust it up and down to hold your GPU still. That's a pretty cool feature, because obviously with the case's size, you're probably going to be putting something quite big in there, and you wouldn't have to spend extra then just for this bracket. They actually include it. You also get a couple of extra stick-on cable management systems that you can put into the back, which is another good cool feature. And in your other bag, they give you everything that you need to set this system up. Straight away you get some Velcro tabs, which are good for obviously putting your cable management in. They give you some spare PCI brackets, because the ones in the system are actually those pull-out ones, which is a little bit of a shame. They could have included these straight away, and it probably would have just finished off the case nicely. But if you do install a graphics card and then you want to change it later, obviously you may end up moving its slots and you're going to be losing a space, but they keep you provided by doing that. You get a motherboard speaker, which is quite interesting because I haven't seen a case come with these for a long time, and generally motherboards don't come with them anymore, so that's pretty cool. You can store that away. They give you some extra little rubber mounts and things that you can use to put inside the USB sockets to stop any dust. You also get 2 for the sockets for your audio connections, so that's pretty good. And then you get pretty much all the screws you could ever want to fit anything in this case altogether. So now that we've given a bit of tour of this case, let's put a build in it and see how easy it is. So that has to be one of the easiest builds I've actually ever done. The space in this case is amazing. You can pretty much fit everything where you want it with very little cable management. All you need to do is just follow the actual cable management in there and you pretty much got a clean build altogether. The power supply we used in this was actually a non-modular, but it didn't have any problems hiding all those extra cables away. And everything just fit perfectly as we went along. It's also a pretty quiet system. There's not much noise coming from it at all, even with those pre-installed fans, but if you were to replace them with something like some Noctuas, once the glass panel's on, because everything's so thick, you're pretty much going to get a silent PC, which actually brings me on to what we're going to use this system for. The case we're going to be actually swapping out for our editing rig because we need something super quiet, and the Fractal Meshify C, although a brilliant case that it's currently in, is very ventilated for airflow, and we don't really need airflow on that system. We need actual quietness. So that's what we're going to be doing with this case. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see more on that, because we'll be fitting extra things into this and obviously swapping that system over at some point. Now I am super impressed with this case, particularly for the price. If you actually look on the Sahara Gaming website, it retails for around £80, which is technically classed as more of a mid-range case, but for the quality you're getting here, I think you're getting a mid-range price for an actual decent quality case. And if you take a look around at the moment, and we'll drop some links in the description, you can find this case for a bargain price of nearly £40. Currently, Sahara Gaming are selling it on eBay for £40, but it is on sale on their website if you just want to buy from there for £50, which is an absolute bargain all through. For those of you who are not interested in the extra airflow that a mesh front would provide, or the fancy glass so that you can see the RGB fans in the front, this is going to be perfect for you, particularly with the amount of different types of cooling options and all the things that you can actually do with it, and in particularly the quality of the case itself due to that super thick steel and the super thick glass. Let us know in the comments what you think about this case, and particularly the features that it provides. Would it actually suit something that you would like to build? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'd like to thank Sahara Gaming for sending this along and kickstarting our case review segments again. But until the next one, we'll catch you soon.